Good day! For today's video, I will show you on how to balance a complex chemical equation using RREF or the reduced row echelon form. Consider the unbalanced chemical equation. In the reactant, we have potassium ferrocyanide plus potassium permanganate plus sulfuric acid to produce potassium bisulfate plus iron trisulfate plus manganese sulfate plus nitric acid plus carbon dioxide plus water. Introducing the 9 unknowns. In the first compound of reactant will serve as the first column and the first value of the coefficient for notation y sub 1, which is potassium ferrocyanide, and followed by y sub 2, which is the potassium permanganate. Then for y sub 3, which is the sulfuric acid, and for the product side, for y sub 4, which is potassium bisulfate, and so on. These are the corresponding to 8 elements. One can get 8 simultaneous as below. Based on the chemical equation, ang kanilang pagkakasunod-sunod ay potassium, iron, carbon, nitrogen, manganese, oxygen, hydrogen, and sulfur. Since we have 8 different elements, that serve as also the 8 rows in the matrix. Later on in the video ay malalaman niyo po. Before we proceed to homogeneous linear system of equation, first is we need to convert the elements into system of linear equation. For example, for potassium, we have subscript 4 or 4 number of atoms in the first compound and the reactant. Then we have only 1 atom for potassium in the second compound. For the product side, we have only 1 number of atom for potassium. Ulitin lang natin for potassium, we have 4y sub 1 plus y sub 2 is equals to y sub 4. The same as the other element like for iron, we have 1 number of atom in the first compound in the reactant and 2 number of atoms in the fifth compound. So for iron, we have y sub 1 is equals to 2y sub 5. Ganun po yung pag-convert natin into linear system of equation, same as in the remaining elements. After that, we will equate to 0 all the elements into homogeneous linear system. Yung nasa product side ay magiging negative or minus. For example, for potassium, we have 4y sub 1 plus y sub 2 minus y sub 4 is equals to 0. Then for iron, we have y sub 1 minus 2y sub 5 is equals to 0, same as for the remaining element. After we equate the elements into 0, we will convert it into matrix form, which is AX is equals to 0. But before we convert it, I will show you the matrix form. Base sa nakikita nyo, yan po ang position at pagkakasunod-sunod. For example, in the first column, we have A sub 11 down to A sub 21, followed by A sub 31, and so on. For the second column, we have A sub 12, A sub 22, A sub 32, and so on. For the third column, we have A sub 13, A sub 23, A sub 33, and so on. That is the matrix form, para later on di tayo malito. Okay, now, we will convert the homogeneous linear system into matrix form. Ito po yung inequate natin into 0. For example, if we convert the elements for potassium, and that potassium is the first element in the chemical equation, and it also serves as the first row in the matrix. For potassium, we have 4y sub 1 plus y sub 2 minus y sub 4 is equals to 0. For 4y sub 1, which is 4 number of atoms, ay ilalagay natin yan sa first column. For y sub 2, which is 1 number of atom, ay ilalagay natin sa second column. For negative y sub 4, which is negative 1, ay ilalagay natin sa fourth column, and the rest are 0. For the second row naman, which is the iron, we have y sub 1 minus 2y sub 5 is equals to 0. For y sub 1, which is 1 number of atom for the first column, and for negative 2y sub 5, which is negative 2 number of atoms for the second column. The same thing to do with the remaining elements. This is now the result for matrix equation of the given chemical equation. Before we balance the equation, I will show you the RREF or the reduced row echelon form. So this is the reduced row echelon form. Dapat ito yung magiging resulta using RREF, but in the last column not literal 0 ang lalabas. Depende po sa lalabas na sagot. The important of this is that in every column has a leading one except in the last column. Sa leading one, under and top of that, is dapat maging 0 siya until makuha natin ang sagot in the final matrix. Since AX is equals to 0, we will put 0 in the last column or tinatawag nating null 0 na makikita niyo sa screen. For the first step, interchange the row position for row 1 and row 2. Since A sub 21 is the leading one na nakikita niyo sa screen, then the following matrix is obtained. As you can see now that the position of row 1 and row 2 is changed. Then to obtain 0, A sub 21, negative 4 is multiplied to row 1 and added to row 2. For example, negative 4 times the value of row 1, which is 1, plus the value of row 2, which is 4. Then the answer becomes 0. Then the following matrix is obtained and you can see in the screen that the row is changed. To obtain 0 in A sub 31, negative 6 is multiplied to row 1 and added to row 3. Then the following matrix is obtained. Ganun lang po yung gagawin natin until ma-reduce row echelon form siya sa final matrix natin. As you can see in the screen, that is the final matrix. For the negative 5 over 94, that is our first coefficient in the chemical equation. For negative 61 over 96 for the second coefficient in the chemical equation, and so on. And this is now the 8th dependent variable, which is negative 5 over 94 y sub 1 minus 61 over 94 y sub 2 minus 299 over 188 y sub 3 minus 81 over 94 y sub 4 minus 5 over 188 y sub 5 minus 61 over 94 y sub 6 minus 15 over 47 y sub 7 minus 15 over 47 y sub 8 is equals to 0. Then to make it positive, multiply by negative 1 and now we will put the value of coefficient in the equation. The chemical equation will be 5 over 94 molecules of potassium ferrocyanide plus 61 over 94 molecules of potassium permanganate plus 299 over 188 molecules of sulfuric acid to produce 81 over 94 molecules of potassium bisulfate plus 5 over 188 molecules of iron 3 sulfate plus 61 over 94 molecules of manganese sulfate plus 15 over 47 molecules of nitric acid plus 15 over 47 molecules of carbon dioxide plus water. To obtain the final answer, get the lowest term of the coefficient. And the balanced chemical equation becomes 10 molecules of potassium ferrocyanide plus 122 molecules of potassium permanganate plus 299 molecules of sulfuric acid to produce 162 molecules of potassium bisulfate plus 5 molecules of iron 3 sulfate plus 122 molecules of manganese sulfate plus 60 molecules of nitric acid plus 60 molecules of carbon dioxide plus 188 molecules of water. Then for the checking, the table that you've seen on the screen, as you can see, the number of atoms in every elements in both reactant and products are equal or balanced. That's on how we balance a complex chemical equation using RREF.